you talked about how youth in different countries, China, Japan, they're not coming up against the same low expectations as the youth of America are. We're also, this programming is kind of geared towards Korean Americans, and as being Korean Americans, they're not, these same low expectations are, upon them. And so, we don't want, basically you're talking about statistics and things of people, like there's a study that said that the average American spends 9.5 hours with various media outlets.
Watching movies, reading magazines, all the media stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the average teenager in America, and how do they rebel against these low expectations, these statistics that have been sort of put on them?
Right. Yeah, well, the interesting thing about that study, this is a Business Week study, 9.5 hours a day the average American spends, consuming media, just taking it in. And the interesting thing to notice is that study was actually taken back in 1998.
Wow.
And if you think about today and how internet use has skyrocketed, we're constantly connected. We're always plugged into the World Wide Web. And you have the iPod that's come about, MP3s, DVDs have supplanted VHS, all of these technological advances in just these last 10 years that make us even more constantly connected. And what we make the important point in our book and on our website that our companions, the people that we spend time with, we really become like them. And our companions are not just limited to people.
Right.
They're also include the books we read and the magazines we read and the TV shows we watch and the websites we surf and the radio stations we listen to. Everything is all their companions, and they're either wise and good and encouraging us to become wise and to do what's right, or they're bad and they're encouraging us to do what's wrong and to be rebellious or whatever it may be. And a lot of times people, young people especially, can be careful with who their friends are, and their parents may be very careful in making sure that the friends who they hang out with are good friends. But they don't give the same care to these non-human friends. And young people are oftentimes being influenced by all sorts of things. They're letting them in because they don't think of them as friends. And that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah. And I'd like to just jump in even going back to what you were saying about different expectations for, say, a Korean American, a young person versus, or a Chinese young person, Japanese versus, your typical American teenager, maybe. And I think you're absolutely right that, some, Korean Americans, they don't have the same low expectations in some areas. Definitely, Alex and I found, like when we were taking our SAT and taking our tests and everything, how many of, the students who were doing those tests and really scoring so well were, Korean American students, just very smart, very capable, and just applying themselves to their studies. And that's, that's a different, there's different expectations there. But what we realized, because we actually went to Japan and did a conference in Tokyo, and we realized, we're speaking to young people with slightly different environment, slightly different expectations. But the things that are consistent is, number one, like what Alex was just saying about technology, especially, young people, all young people, it seems, are really getting sucked into the technology and media. But on the other hand, what we've shared and what we really feel is important for like a Korean American is to say, are you just having high expectations in one area, or in certain areas that are important, like your studies, just get into a good university, get into a good school, get a good job, and are your motives for doing that just for yourself and your own personal honor, your own personal glory, or is it to serve God so you can serve other people? What's your motives for doing that? There's still low expectations there, or for a lot of, Japanese young people, Korean, maybe Chinese too, you see where, if I'm doing good at studies or I'm doing good at sports, I don't need to be applying myself to my relationship with my family. I don't need to apply myself to my relationship with God or any of these other areas, and so it's, it's off balance.
The expectations are different, but they're still low.
Right.